The packaging used traditionally on tea cakes features simple artwork: a circle tracing the edge of the cake, Chinese characters, and perhaps imagery of nature, a mountain, a tree, botanicals. The color palette is muted, soft red, brown, green, or black ink, and frequently only one or two colors is used. Crimson Lotus is a Seattle-based company specializing in Yunnan Pu'ers. Now, they've departed from those packaging traditions and brought tea cake wrapper designs into the modern era. Think of the style of artwork you see on Western craft beer labels or chocolate bar labels. Bright colors, modern graphic illustrations, often edgy imagery, with artwork specifically chosen to tell the story of the product inside the package. I met Crimson Lotus owners, husband and wife Glen and Lamu, at the Northwest Tea Festival in Seattle this past September. Lamu explained to me how Crimson Lotus works with artists in the United States and China to design compelling packaging that reflects the tea beyond the wrapper. The art entices new tea drinkers to try pu'er and allows seasoned tea drinkers to connect with the story of the tea. I had a great time choosing a tea whose artwork spoke to me. The choice was made after careful consideration of both the art and the taste of the tea. Ultimately, I selected the Honey Bomb Sheng Pu'er to take home with me, and I've just brewed a pot. Today on Tea Biz, we're going to chat with Glen Bowers of Crimson Lotus to get a glimpse into their approach to tea cake packaging design. Welcome, Glen, and cheers, because we're both sipping Crimson Lotus Pu'er as we chat today.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for coming on to the podcast today. It is great to chat with you after meeting you at the Northwest Tea Festival a few months ago.
Yeah, of course. No, I'm happy to be here. I love talking about tea.
I've been sharing with listeners that I really enjoyed the experience of choosing this honey bomb tea because of the interesting artwork on your packaging. In this case, there's some honeycomb in orange and yellow with a gold leaf bomb on it. And then when you open it up, it says boom in big letters, which is a lot of fun. The packaging drew me into learning more about this tea, and now here I am sipping it at home. So is my shopping experience what you had hoped would happen when you introduced modern graphic artwork on your tea cakes?
Yeah, absolutely. It was the combination of me being clearly influenced by Western product packaging and design. I really like, I like getting excited when I see fun artwork on bottles of beer or wine or different products. For me, it just kind of stimulates the creativity and makes me think more about the product. And then I just wanted to try and find ways to work with fun artists and showcase artists in the Seattle area and get their designs on some of our things and introduce our customers to the art and artists that I enjoy.
Tell us the story of the very first time you decided to create new packaging for a tea cake.
So I think our first cakes we pressed was probably in 2014. It was really simple designs. We just had some stamps made. We had our Lotus logo, and it was very clean and efficient. It listed the mountain, the year, it had our logo, and that was it. I went to a gallery show for an artist in Seattle who I love. Her name is Stasia Burrington. I had gone to a gallery show where she had painted 50 different tiny little girls in space costumes, and it was all watercolor, and I just thought they were the coolest little micro paintings. And so they were each like 3" by 3". And so I messaged her and asked if I could pay her for the rights to use some of them on our designs. I'd never even thought about using different artwork on the cakes, but as I got used to working with some print shops in China and realized that there was a lot of possibilities for putting actual art on cakes. I didn't have to stick with the tradition of just some Chinese characters and a circle design. And she was more than willing to work with us, and that was our Space Girls, which came out in 2016, and it was a big hit. People loved it. It was such a fun, cute little design, and you get a tea cake that comes with it, and it was a lot of fun.
In this case, it sounds like the artwork came before the tea, so you found artwork you liked, and then you matched it to a tea. Is that how it always works?
That's how it worked. That's how it worked in that case. So I mean, I came up with the name Space Girls, and it just seemed kind of fun. But the artwork already was existing. But then after that, we started working with Stasia and other artists, and I would give them an idea or a concept and maybe like a rough outline of or maybe like I'd throw together a sketch of how I wanted something to look or appear on the page. You mentioned with Honey Bomb how you got the core design here, but then when you open up the wrapper, you find like big, huge, giant letter says "boom" on the bottom. And our designs, I have a lot of fun with that because most tea designs use up such a small portion of the wrapper, and there's like so much extra stuff that you can do. And you get the tea and you get the wrapper and you see that first design, and then you open it up and it just like creates like there's like a second design behind the wrapper. And the idea is supposed to be analogous to the experience of the tea, where it's like you get the tea, but then you start to steep it and you realize this tea has a huge experience as well. So that was our thought process on that.
Interesting, because you're right. As the leaves unfold in the water, and that is sort of what happened when I opened that package. It was a surprise and a delightful surprise.
Perfect. That was by design. I'm glad that worked.
The style of graphic artwork on some of your cakes is a little bit edgy. The hashtag Pacific Northwest Love has a two-dimensional illustrated heart that has a sort of a graffiti feel.
Yeah.
And another, like Dark Depths, has blue background with a bluish purple octopus tentacles. So it's a little bit mysterious and alluring. And you mentioned that you were influenced by craft beer labels. Now, this artwork is a significant departure from the traditional artwork. And so to me, it's speaking to a very different audience. Did you consider audience or your clients when you were trying out a new style of artwork?
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. Because I'm a Western-born person. I was born and raised in America. I have my own set of expectations for products and design, and I have a lot of respect for the traditional Chinese designs on cakes, but they were very specifically designed to be what the Chinese audience expects. And so I found myself wanting more. I mean, most every single cake that you would get traditionally in China just said the exact same things as far as pu'er tea, like, oh, this is a Seven Sons tea cake, Yunnan, Munghai tea factory, something, China native produce export company. It just said all the same stuff, but it didn't really give any information about the tea, either directly about the tea or even about what the experience might be in that. And I just wanted something that just gave a little bit more. I found myself as a Western consumer wanting to have more, and then once I found myself in the position of creating that and providing that, it was really, really, really exciting for me. So a lot of times the people in the print shops, they make fun of my wrappers all the time. They're just like, dude, these things are so dumb. Like, no one's ever gonna buy these teas. I'm like, well, you're right, but I'm paying you to print it for me. And they're like, okay. And so I have fun with that because I want to build the tea audience for this type of tea. And I found in the West, it's sometimes daunting when you got like some, like a giant 357 or 400 gram cake of thing, and it's covered with characters that you can't read, and even if you can read them, they don't mean anything about the tea. And so I really wanted to find a way to connect with the Western consumer in a way that I would appreciate.
Interesting. And speaking of East and West, you mentioned a few Western artists. Have you found any Eastern artists to work with?
I've found it a little bit more difficult to find artists in China to work with. China has a very specific idea of what it takes to become considered as like an actual artist, and actually recognized by the government as a producer of art. You have to be very specific about the type of art that's produced, and it has to be in line with traditional Chinese art and Chinese history. But recently, within the last 5 or 6 years, we've been able to find some artists that are willing to work with us and create unique and original designs. And so I think our Stone Lion cake has a Yunnan artist on it. We've got a cake with called Lowrider. Lowrider also features a Yunnan-based artist who's really into tea, and he kind of does a little bit more of a Western graffiti style, which is kind of fun. I like that. So it's fun. When I find Chinese artists that are willing to work with me, I'll absolutely work with them.
For our business owners listening, can you tell us about the return on investment?
Packaging that I was a little bit quicker with, and packaging that I took time to come up with a good name and a good design with, and a good name and a good design. It just captures people's imagination. It will sell significantly better if you put the time and effort into getting a nice design on something, as opposed to if you just kind of, cheaped out and came out with, just threw a quick little piece of clip art on something, or something, sold a cake like that. It's yeah, people can tell like that effort was put into something, and it resonates with them. So I've noticed that for sure.
So what's next? Any other innovations we should be on the lookout for at Crimson Lotus?
I've got a really fun project we're working on right now that I'm super excited about. I'm really passionate about the educational angle of the teas as well. Most people in the West, it's the first time they've tried these teas. They're super excited about like trying different mountains and different styles. And so we put together an educational tasting set, which is all of the leaf material was picked within a 1 to 2 week window from one single garden. So like same trees, same garden, same producer, but the trees were processed as Yunnan Pu'er, white tea, and black tea. So everything is 100% identical, but the difference is just in how the teas were processed. And I find for people in the West, that's super educational to be able to see the amount of variation and variety of experience that you can get just by how the tea has been processed. And so we're pressing it into three different cakes. So a white cake, white tea cake, black tea cake, Yunnan Pu'er tea cake, and then I put some fun 80s style icon graphic, kind of 8-bit graphic design on there of something similar to, like an adventure D&D sort of a party. So I've got a dwarf. Dwarf is on the black tea cake. Elf is on the white tea cake, and then a rogue slash ranger slash hunter is on the Yunnan Pu'er tea cake, and they're going to be sold together as a set. It's called Game Night. And the idea that really fascinated me is that people would actually be sitting down for like some sort of a long night of adventure gaming. They could actually integrate these different teas into the experience as well. And so we went the extra step of actually crafting stories, basically like actual quest lines for each character, as if the character was, as if like the dwarf was in Yunnan working with his people to make the quest of making this perfect brew of tea. And so that's actually written on the wrappers themselves. And so I'm really excited about that. So
that sounds amazing. Please tell us where we can learn more about that.
Yeah, our Instagram or our website is where we'll be focusing on that as soon as we get it out.
And for our listeners, that's crimsonlotustea.com. And I'm going to be watching for that. That sounds amazing. And I'd love to hear more about that. And maybe in another few months, we can chat about how the rollout went. Yeah, that would be great. Well, I do like drinking and talking about tea. So hit me up anytime for sure. Sounds great. And thank you so much for coming on Tea Biz Podcast today. This was great. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Produced by Adavita Studios. Connect your voice to the world.